The first loaf of leavened bread ever made was almost certainly a mistake, born from forgotten, spoiled dough. For thousands of years, humans ate only flat, hard bread, dense discs that barely resembled what we eat today. Then, somewhere in ancient Egypt, a batch of dough was left out too long, and something strange began happening. Wild yeast floating invisibly in the air had drifted into the dough and quietly begun to ferment it. When that puffed, risen dough was finally baked, it came out light, airy, and completely unlike anything before. The Egyptians had accidentally invented leavened bread, and they quickly realized they had discovered something huge. This happened at least 6,000 years ago, and it would go on to reshape entire human civilizations. Bread became so central to Egyptian life that workers were often paid directly in loaves instead of money. The workers who built the pyramids were paid in bread and beer, both made from the very same grain. This means the greatest monuments of the ancient world were, in a very real sense, built on bread itself. But the story of how bread reshaped humanity begins long before Egypt, with a much older and stranger question. For a long time, scientists believed farming came first, and that bread was simply a later result of it. But a discovery in the Jordanian desert completely reversed that entire timeline of human history. Archaeologists found the charred remains of bread that were over 14,000 years old. That bread was baked at least 4,000 years before humans are believed to have started farming grain. This discovery flipped the assumption, suggesting the desire for bread may have actually driven farming itself. In other words, humans may have first settled down and farmed grain specifically so they could keep making bread. If that is true, then bread did not come from civilization. Civilization may have come from bread. Back in Egypt, that accidental leavened loaf also gave birth to another world-changing discovery: beer. The same wild yeast that raised bread also fermented grain into one of the earliest alcoholic drinks on Earth. Some historians even argue beer, not bread, was the true reason humans first cultivated grain at scale. Either way, that single grain, wheat, quietly became the foundation of nearly every great early civilization. From Egypt to Rome, empires rose and fell based on their ability to grow, store, and distribute enough grain. Roman leaders knew that whoever controlled the bread supply effectively controlled the mood of the people. This is where the famous phrase "bread and circuses" truly comes from, keeping the population fed and distracted. A shortage of bread could spark riots and topple leaders, while a steady supply could hold an empire together. Even the French Revolution was fueled in part by anger over the soaring price of everyday bread. From a forgotten bowl of dough to the fall of empires, bread has quietly shaped the entire human story. The next time you tear into a warm loaf, remember, you are holding one of the oldest technologies humans ever made. A technology so powerful it may have convinced our ancestors to abandon their wandering and build the first cities. If you made it this far, you now understand how a simple loaf of bread may have quietly built human civilization. Subscribe to Food History Uncovered to keep discovering how everyday foods quietly shaped the entire human story.